Hey guys, it's Drew again. The old Kenny Rogers song, The Gambler, says, "You've got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run." I want to talk about why the lines of that song have to do with the very last time I ever bought a pack of baseball cards over 30 years ago. So let's check it out. Like a lot of you guys, I loved buying packs and popping packs when I was a kid. I would buy the packs and I would try to build the sets and I would trade the commons and the doubles, and it was just part of growing up in that nostalgia of building sets. And this was the same for a long time. Where actually there was a local card shop around the corner from my house where I would build a whole set and I could take it in and I could actually trade for more packs. And he was selling the sets to people that wanted hand collated sets. It was a lot of fun. I did that for a whole summer one year, and that was really how I got into using my collection to build my collection. But anyway, and that went on until inserts started coming out, and you'd get that that pack hit 1 in 10 or one card per box or whatever. And it's no different now. The odds have gotten grander, the values have gotten bigger, but it was the same thing. We were trying to hope that and get that card. Well, fast forward, it was 1994, and I went into a local card store, and I'm now an adult. I mean, I'm a young adult. I'm right out of college, but I was really into always getting those cards, and it was almost to the point where I was obsessed with it. And anybody who knows me very well, and I'm not talking about even you guys in here that know my collecting, but I'm talking about my friends, my family, very close, know that I tend to really get very obsessed about stuff, and it has a hard time breaking it out of that mold. And sometimes it's been a problem with me, and other times I've been able to battle that. Well, this time it was definitely a problem. And I remember I went into a local card store, and I legitimately only had $5 left to my name. And I'm not talking about like, oh, I reached in my wallet, I happen to have a $5 bill. I'm talking like I had $5, and then I had to wait for my next paycheck. I was living paycheck to paycheck, and but I went to my local card store and I asked the guy. I said, "Well, what's new?" And he showed me that there was this new stuff that came out. It was 1994, like I said, and Fleer had just put out their set Flair, and it was the second year, I believe, of Flair, and this new series had come out. And I said, "Well, what's the hit?" And he said, "There's this great set called Hot Gloves in there." And I said, "Well, what are the pack odds?" And we looked at it, and it says 1 out of 24, so one pack out of 24, and the packs were $5 each. And I said, "Well, is Griffey in the set?" And he said, "Yeah, Griffey's in the set." Of course, that was the big name. So the odds of me pulling a Griffey after buying one pack were 1 in 240 packs. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it. And I put my $5 on the counter, and he puts the box up there, and I reached in, and I always had a system where I would always pull the same pack in the same position. It was just a superstitious thing. And I pulled out the pack, and I remember guys around me, other customers and guys in the store, and they were watching me, and I opened it up. And if you know the Fleer Flare cards, they were very thick. And if you know the Hot Gloves, it was a die cut set, and I was kind of new in the hobby. And I remember opening up, and I could look down the top, and I could see that there was a die cut in there. You could see it. Now, was it the Hot Gloves? I don't know. Was it Griffey? I mean, again, the odds were just enormous compared to what it was. So I was really like, oh man, and everyone's around. It was that excitement and building. And I go through the cards, and I finally get to it, and I start to slide the card down a little bit, and you can see it was definitely the Hot Gloves card. And when I removed it, it was not only a Hot Gloves, but it was the Griffey. In fact, it was this Griffey right here. And I pulled it. The odds, 1 out of 240 packs, and I pulled the one card that I wanted out of that whole set. And I was so excited, and everyone's cheering for me and slapping me on the back and congratulations and all that kind of stuff. And it was a lot of fun in that moment. But then when I went home, I'm looking at the card, and I started thinking about what I did. I spent my last $5. That $5 wasn't just extra money to go to whatever for fun. That was $5 that, could have gone to the next, rent, or could have gone to the next gas bill, or could have gone to the phone bill, or the food or something. But I spent my last $5 until I got paid again on a pack of cards. And I realized at that moment that I was really in a lot too farther deep than I needed to be. And at that point, I just stopped. I stopped buying packs of cards. Now, I ended on a high note. I mean, I still have this card. The value of it, I looked it up to do this video. They sell raw on eBay, I don't know, 80 to $100. So that's pretty good, all these years later, that it held its value in that junk wax era. But what that did was it really woke me up. It woke me up into say, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm going about this wrong. What if I didn't pull it? Would I have then found another $5 and tried again? Probably, because I'd done that for a few years before that. And I look back now and I think it was stupid. You know, if it was my kid at that age and I knew that they had spent their last $5, and I'm talking about, again, not extra money, this is all the $5 that they had on something like that in the hopes to get something big. And it really made me realize that there was a gambling aspect that overtakes you. And I'm not judging people for opening up new product. There's a huge thrill in finding the pack odds and getting the auto or getting the one of one or getting the numbered card or getting the patch or whatever you were into and wanting to get. And I'm okay with all that stuff, of course. I'm not trying to judge anybody for doing that. I'm just saying for me at the time, I realized that if I didn't stop, I was going too far, and it could end up costing me a whole lot more than $5. So I wanted to tell this tale because I'm telling the story of how I got to where I am in my collection. I mean, I started collecting 40 years ago, probably, and I have tons of cards, and I've got tons of stories and tons of memories, but not all of them are the highlights. I mean, this ended up on a highlight, but this was a great warning to me to be like, you know what, as you proceed, go carefully. Proceed with caution. Know what you're doing. Know when you're doing it and how you're doing it. And this is a great card. And I keep this card prominently displayed in my Griffey stuff for two reminders. One, I can't believe I actually pulled that card. 1 out of 240 packs. The only pack I bought. And I happened to pull it. But also to remind myself that I need to know when to hold them and when to fold them. I need to know not just when to walk away, but I need to know when to run. And at that moment in time, I had to run, and I did, and I'm glad that I did. I love watching people get excited about buying cards. I love watching people get excited about pulling their hero. But if you're into that and doing it, just be careful. It can start to really affect you and it start to go in a negative direction. So just a word of caution from someone who's been there because until I pulled this card out of that pack, I had made some mistakes. I had spent money I shouldn't have spent, and I had regret. And I never want anything in a hobby to have regret on it. So I hope you don't either. Anyway, not a cautionary tale. It's not out there to be judgment. I just wanted to share it. I wanted to show off a card. It's not vintage, I know, but it is kind of, I mean, it's still 30 years old, but it is a story that really happened to me, and I wanted to share that with you. So I appreciate you coming along as always. Until next time, you guys be good.